Hey guys, welcome back to Soundboard. Had a couple of weeks off, but got an exciting announcement. Kind of launched a little bit early, but Jade, how are you?
You did. You just launched on me. I didn't even know it was coming. It was was it a Friday morning? I think it was Friday morning. I'm just working away and then watched your reels and we're on. We're live.
On. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know that Greta Van Reel, she goes, if you're not embarrassed by your first product, you've taken too long.
It's very true. It's very true. I've heard that before. Actually, the first time I ever heard that was from the founder of Twitter at that startup grind I went to at San
Jack
Fran.
Dorsey?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
he said the same thing. He said he looked back on the first Twitter and was like, oh, shit. But to be honest with you, it's really the nature of starting business. You kind of fall down the cliff and figure it out on your way down.
Quick catch up. How you been?
Yeah, good. Everything's good. Lot moving again, but a lot happening. But yeah, everything is awesome. Yeah.
Just sort of a little catch up on my end. Yeah, we're looking to move out of office and change.
How
state.
are you feeling about it?
I feel good. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I talked about this in a vlog one time. I said I've got like a lot of my ego is attached to this office because when people come in and they come in this space and it's like amazing.
Yeah.
But we're not just starting to break it down of like how much time I spend actually
And
filming
how much it
in
makes
here.
you from a financial perspective.
Yeah, it hurts from a financial perspective too. But like there's times I'll sit in this office when I don't need to. Like I'll be done by like 1 and then I'll just like kind of sit here till 5 because I know I'm paying for it like day by day. When I start to calculate it like that, it's like, do I really need to do this?
Yeah.
And then my next little phase of life is like I want to be a little bit lighter and moving around and being able to like work in Bali for like maybe a week or 2 weeks. But when you got a whole office sitting here, and there's only 3 of us in here, I don't know. It's just like you feel like you're just throwing money down the drain.
Yeah, 100%. I think also like when you move around, you have like more space for creativity and you can like think a little bit different. I actually so I could probably lightly touch on it now, but obviously my exit's wrapping up at the moment with Evolution, which means that like it's really the first time that I've been able to think about life without this weight and like these like almost like shackles type thing. And the very first thing I did in anticipation of it closing was just booked a trip with Matt. And like, I've been pretty head down, bum up over the last couple of years, largely because of probably the pressure that I've placed on myself to not let that one business, that one great business be my first or my last. Like I've really, tried to kick goals individually and whatnot without being able to go and start anything substantial again. So I've just booked the trip on the basis that like, I just want that reset. That moment where you just get on a plane and all your workflows just start coming through your mind. You get the ideas and you get inspired and you get a little bit more purpose driven. Like I think in doing business consulting, I've been so focused on, I've got my clients and I focus on their businesses. It's now time to start thinking about what's the next one for me.
That's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've been on airplanes too. I like something about, I think Natasha shared at me something about being up in altitude, detached from technology.
Light.
Yeah.
Light, yeah.
And just riding. Oh, where are you going? You going to Europe?
Yeah, we're going to Europe. We're starting in London and then we've got Paris and then we have a whole week in Italy and then a whole week in Greece on the other side. Yeah. So it's really nice. And Matt's never been to Europe before. Matt's never traveled business class either. So that was exciting. Yeah, booking that.
I think it's the best and worst thing you can do. Like it's so great when you do it, but then after that and you're in the back of the luggage. Like,
he was like, when I said to him, I won't travel economy, he was like, oh, all right.
Yeah.
I'm like, you just wait.
You
wait, honestly. And I do everything hot tip, American Express. I have an Amex card. And especially with the exit and everything like that, I've had really like substantial legal fees. I've thrown everything on the Amex and then you just pay it off at the end of the month. I actually think for a business Amex, it's like a 60-day payment term. So it's good for businesses for like cash flow and stuff like that too. But I put everything on my Amex, all the points accumulate. And then what you do is you transfer them out for like either Qantas frequent flyer or you can even, it's a more expensive way to do it, but you can even book through the American Express website as well and use your points for stuff.
Well, it's well deserved.
Works out. Yes. So yeah, you're right. Like you get on a plane and you move yourself around and I think you get like that clear mind. And also too, like I've noticed in not so much our generation, but our era of business owners, there's a lot of change going on. If you talk to like a lot of individual business owners, I don't know if it's just off the back end of COVID and whatnot, but there's a lot of people that are like downsizing, leaning out, like trying to look at more profit rather than revenue. Like revenue used to be a really attractive metric. Like, my business does this year. Now it's more like people trying to focus on what they're taking home, looking at and prioritizing personal wealth alongside building a business venture as well. So there's a lot of change in the space, I feel.
Yeah, and like a lot of entrepreneurs like our age, like we sort of hire a little bit younger too, and sometimes like we deal with, I don't want to say like that generation, but they move like a little bit differently. Like they could be in your workspace for a year or 2 years, and that's okay. And where I think when I first started, and I've never hired, I'm probably the worst person to talk about hiring, but I just hired friends, and then when I left, I had to start loyalty attachment.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I had on my Instagram the other day, I had like a memory come up. It was like someone's birthday, and I'd posted an Evolution yacht that we went, like one of those yacht parties that we did with all of our staff, and I was just like, I counted the staff and I was like, fuck, we had so many. I wish I just kind of sat back and was like, what do you actually need? And then, you know, do you need this huge team, or what can you create that can take some of the human labor out and automations and stuff? Like I never thought about it at the time. It was just sort of like, oh, we're busy, let's hire. Yeah. Oh, we're busy, let's hire. And then you get to this point where you've got, you know, an outlay of X on a Monday before you even get into work. So it's like, yeah, leaning down is definitely the way to go.
Yeah, and I think we've really noticed it within this like business complex too, because like we were kind of the first young crew in here, and then obviously you guys follow along. G Dupper in here, Sammy for 1 mile, she's been in here as well, and exact same. Everyone's gone through the exact same stories, probably besides G Dup where they were understaffed and they just kind of grew.
They were always pretty small, weren't they?
Yeah, and it's just because Jakey didn't really want to hire anyone because
he had the right idea, didn't he?
Yeah. So he was onto it early. But yeah, I've looked at everyone else around us, and everyone's gone.
Everyone's doing the same thing.
Everyone's doing the same thing.
And there's a lot of different tools and things that are coming into the market too that are making human jobs redundant, as we know, like with AI and whatnot too. So I think that's another big thing where you might have had like a whole team in a marketing team coming up with ideas and whatnot for content generation. You click a button now and you can come up with a whole plan type thing. So things are becoming faster to do. So I think it's natural progression.
Yeah, it is exciting times. Like change. I think it's like I used to always hear Gary Vee talk about, because we've never really been through a tight recession while I've been in business anyway. And obviously the COVID just amplified a lot of businesses, took a lot of businesses out, like restaurants and all that sort of stuff, but a lot of e-com really done well, and it gave you a fake sense of success because the numbers were inflated. But right now it's like, fuck, we're actually running like a real business. The brunt of it, yeah, we have to like work and do things a little bit harder to get to that point where we need to get to.
100%. What's your ultimate goal? Like, what's your vision, just in general?
I've been
I don't think we've ever asked each other that.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this like 5-10 years. I've never really thought that far, and probably at the moment now, like I'm at a little bit of a crossroads where a lot of my personal stuff's going great, and then obviously I still love YKTR, but it's kind of to almost be in the point where you're at now, where you're like got money behind you, and you start to
can look at other businesses
and start investing into it, and obviously build the soundboard thing out, because it's something I love. I love talking about business, and I don't really have anyone besides you that I can talk to. Like my group of friends is just my group of friends, and we talk about different things, but I'm talking about AI and blockchain and stuff like that. Kind of just goes over their heads. So keen to create a community and just build smarter businesses.
I met a really cool couple of guys who were in this company called Black Nova, and they're a VC firm that I think I might have told you about them, that they're sort of non-conventional VC in that they don't always necessarily invest in something that is like up and running. They can often invest in a founder that's got like a second wind or another idea, or they might have, you know, something like that. Like if I came to them with a whole grand plan, but it hadn't actually eventuated so something along those lines. I thought that was really cool, but they've got like kind of a network within there of like high net worth individuals that they kind of get and vet an idea, and then they can go to them and say, are you in or are you out type thing, sort of like almost like a Shark Tank. That's
where you want to be.
It is, because you know it's funny, this is how my learnings have kind of matured over the years. Like when I was in Evolution, I could only see that business, and I could only see my life and my future within that business. But a lot of the growth and a lot of the experience and a lot of what I could add to this world really broadened after I left that company, you know? So it kind of makes you think you can touch and execute one, or you can, you know, touch and execute a number of them. I met a really great founder a lot of years ago who owns a really big company in the clothing line and in the clothing industry, and he sort of said to me, I'm not meant to do a number of things. I'm meant to do this one thing. And like that's sort of someone that as an entrepreneur you would invest or back, you know,
for sure, because they're all in.
Yeah, they're all in. So the world needs a balance of both, but I feel like I've gone from one end of the spectrum, being that I've got all my eggs in one basket, to now being able to look at like other businesses and support them with not only knowledge but continue in the future to do like funding and things like that too.
Yeah, for sure. And like for me personally, I think I would get bored if I just stayed in one thing. Like I've always like kind of looking around.
I think it's got a life cycle. Like I don't think you'd be bored straight off the bat, but I think something I've learned, and I've seen this now like closely with my own business, closely with you too, you kind of get to that 6, 7, 8 year mark. The landscape changes, the environment changes, but you change as well. Yeah. So I think it sort of alleviates that sort of 6, 7, 8 year fatigue, which is it's a really tricky period of time.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple of people go through it now, and it's like, who am I? But you're just entering a new era. Like it's so normal.
Yeah, and it is a good like chunk of business, isn't it, to be in business for that long?
Like it's a credit to anyone who can stay alive for that long. You know,
and all the lessons too. All right, we'll talk about Soundboard, like Soundboard Hub. We've been talking about this for maybe 6 months now. It's taken a while to launch. But where did the idea come from?
I think just you and I have accumulated a lot of knowledge, learning and experience over the years, and a few people who have watched us do what we've done along the way. So it was sort of just combining those two things. I think in business, there's been a lot of times where I've wished I've had exactly that, a soundboard, like just someone to listen. They don't necessarily have to tell me exactly what to do. I'd love an opinion, and I'd love just another set of ears on the matter. So it's just an opportunity for people to utilize that. And I also think too, it's not necessarily about what you know, it's about who you know as well. And I think early access or just an accelerated way to get into people who have done it before's networks, I think that's also really valuable. So that's sort of where it came from.
Yeah, and you've had an example of that already, haven't you?
I have, yeah. So on Soundboard the other day, someone popped up with like a tech question. It just so happened to be like using a white label solution. I'd used a couple of others, recommended those, and then sent them to a custom developer who I highly trust, and they've got a meeting with them tomorrow. So it's really cool. Like that's
I think like for me in business, so like I've always been, I was raised individual, like as an individual. So my mom was like, if you want something, you go do it yourself.
Yeah.
And like that sort of style in business is good to launch and start with, because you don't really give a fuck what anyone thinks. But you get to certain points where you are super successful or you are down in the dumps, and those are the kind of the times where I needed like mentors to go, shit, I've got this chunk of change now, what do I do? Or like, shit, I'm down and out now, like what's 100%. The next phase? Like I think those parts are really important too.
Yeah, great. I actually had a call with a couple the other day who were wanting to build like a software, and it's a marketplace, and they were like, we've got this idea, we actually have no idea where to start. And I would say probably in the tech space, that's my very most common question that people, would be hard, I've got this concept, but like, where do you even start with it? And my approach to that is always like, crawl before you walk. Can you launch something that's sort of a little bit manual and a low cost version of the end goal? And then once you've got some revenue coming in, you can kind of look at, can you fund it yourself, or alternatively, at least you've validated to be able to go raise and whatnot, or take out a loan and whatever to speak to a developer and go and create that. And then I put them in touch with my developers that I recommend as well. And they were like, it feels like you just saved us like 3-6 months of research, because we wouldn't know where to start with that. So I think that's sort of the purpose of Soundboard. It's like accelerating growth in a big way.
Yeah, and and like you said, we were talking about this the other day about shipping and stuff, and when you got an e-com brand, like even like learning the basics of shipping when you're first starting out, and like tracking your time, and is your time worth it at that point, and then when do you go to 3PL, like just having just someone, we say Soundboard a lot because
it's true, it's someone just to hear you out and give you another perspective. But on that note, I think you've got a lot to share in that department. It's not necessarily my area of expertise. I have one e-commerce client now, and I just see where my gaps are, like even things like, 3PLs. That's why I, often will ask you questions as to what you think, and always relay that back, like my mate Isaac, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But yeah, even things like, shipping, even, I know now you're going through the whole, do it in Australia, do it offshore kind of consideration. And all of those are things that like experience is so bloody invaluable.
And I find when I'm in shit, ring up you, ring up Danny.
Yeah.
And it's always good to, because a lot of the times they're not emotionally invested into your business. Yeah, 100%. Too. So they hit, like, I'll come up with these ideas. I'll be thinking of for like 6 hours, been up at since 2 a.m, and then by the time you guys wake up and I'm calling you, and they just go, oh no, that's not going to work because ABC.
100%.
So even sometimes hearing like a no and hearing a no early is a good place to.
Oh,
like,
totally. I've even got an instance at the moment where one of my clients is having like a trademark issue with someone that owns the trademark of her brand essentially. And like, there's a lot of emotion around the founder and the trademark, whereas I can just say, okay, plan A is this and then plan B is that. So yeah, exactly. So taking yourself out of it emotionally is like having an extra person do that is good.
What do you think our point of difference is?
I think our experience is one of them. Like to go and do 8 years of business times 2 takes 16 years. Yeah. So that's a really big one. I think you and I have really strong networks. Like we know a lot of people that do a broad range of things from like, accounting to technology development to product development to shipping to email marketing to graphic designers. Like we have an extensive network that we've also vetted for a lot of years and have those relationships to make introductions and stuff. And then the second one is I think just the passion and willingness in which we support other business owners. Like you and I have been doing this for free for a lot of years. Like we get the questions in our DMs and whatnot, and just now, bringing that to a place where it's really easy for people to access that. I think that's different. Like honestly, the amount of things that I've done with no strings attached, like not for any sort of form of like payment or gratification or whatever, just because I love what I do and I'm happy to help over the years, couldn't even count it. Like it's mostly a daily thing. Like there's someone in my DMs all the time asking questions. And I think, to be able to streamline that passion and put it in a place that people just have quick access to it's cool.
Yeah, I think our biggest strength is like transparency too, like all parts of business, but like you said, even like leading people into certain areas, like clothing, for example. When we first started, when people were asking me and I thought they're in the right position to go with a supplier over in China, I'll just introduce people straight away. And I remember this because it happened like recently where we're changing supply chains, and there was a guy who hit me up and he was struggling at the time, and I remember helping him out, and then I went back I was like, hey, we're looking to change supply chains. Would you be able to help me out? And I remember him saying no. Yeah. So it's not for everyone, but I think we both get a kick out of.
Yeah, we like it. And I think we've got a lot to share. There's a lot of like years up there, so, and to be honest with you, not always right either. And I think that's also influenced like my teaching style over the years too. Like I teach, but I also am learning at the same time. And I always,
the best way to learn.
And I also give that in a perspective of like, this is the avenue A and this is the avenue B, and like the pros and cons and things like that. And I think that's the best way to be, because anyone who says, and there's a lot of arrogant business people out there like this, like, oh, definitely don't go that way. Like, why? Yeah. And what's the alternative? I think teaching with an open mind is something that's learned too.
I think be relatable too. Like I know a lot of people look at me and I never dress in like a suit or anything. I'm pretty much in like ATL all the time.
I'm always in business
but like
wear.
Being like an Islander boy as well, like a lot of people within my community that look up to me can sort of see me as like a reference point, because a lot of us haven't had reference points in business growing up. Like it was either like play sports or do what you do in your hometown, and that's kind of it too. And just being relatable and breaking it down, because like in entrepreneurship, and like we've both had times where we've made a fuckload of money and been a little bit flashy, but I don't think business is like that, and it's flaunted in that way and stand in front of cars and private jets on Instagram. And I think we've got to a point where we're kind of past that phase, and we understand it's more so about it's not even about IQ. You don't have to be smart to start a business, and I like to think I'm smart, and what people used to say when I done it like used to make me feel good, but it's more so just about like resilience.
I agree. I think this next decade, especially like once you're in your 30s and you've had a business or had that experience of starting something again or whatnot, you enter a really powerful period. And if you can add learning onto that, I think that's what you and I are really passionate about, is like giving what we can so people can get the results that they're looking for when they're ready to receive it, essentially, because you have to be ready to learn. That's a big one, and take on that knowledge. Probably a big thing that's changed, because I've launched online courses in the past, and the big difference, if you've been part of the inner circle or the blueprint, is like probably more so access to communities, like the way it used to work. And my first course launched about four years ago.
It used to be like you're on that platform, but then if you want to meet, like message me, jump onto this platform.
Yeah.
And this platform that we're on now, which is called School, and which Alex Mosey's an investor in, it's all in one. So you can have access to myself and to you straight away. And I get people who hit me up for consulting maybe 2-3 times a week. And when I say my price, it scares like a lot of people off for the hour. In all honesty, if you can't afford to pay that, even rolling into there, my answers to you as a person is going to be a lot different to someone who's just on Instagram.
Yeah,
because I know that you've invested into the platform.
Yeah,
you're actually serious about learning.
It's a good stepping stone too for the bigger investments too. Like if you have an advisor that is good at what they do and they have had experience, you might pay anywhere from, I've paid up to $10,000 a month before for really great advisors. And that's the other thing too, when you are learning from people who have learned from others too, you get like a funneled knowledge. So
for sure.
That's the other thing. But if you're not ready to make those large investments because you're not expected to be ready straight away, you can sort of crawl before you walk and do something that's a little bit more affordable that gives you access to people who have learned from the best.
Yeah, because I found that because like I used to give like these big ass detailed answers in DMs and I was helping people and you wouldn't really hear from them like again. Like, and I just felt like I was give, and it sort of just drains all
energetic drain. Yeah.
And then like, because like, this person's actually spending money on their brain to be a part of this community. Like I'll find myself spend more time on that. Like when I wake up in the morning, I jump straight on my laptop and I check school first. Like normally I go into like Instagram or check emails. I'm just fun. All right.
You and I are on opposite time zones, hey? Because I do night. And you're a morning.
I've got the worst sleeping pattern at the moment. I'm up at like 2 or 3 in the morning. I
I know. Zara said that to me yesterday because I think you posted something about downside of being up at 2 is you're tired by 9. Zara was like, how does he get up at 2? That's like, that is actual sleeping time.
And I'll get through a bunch of work in that morning and they're like, oh shit, I have to come to work and do my YKTR work at the same time. Yeah. So it does drag out a bit. Like I don't think it's cool. I think it's annoying.
Yeah, it's annoying. Why are you off schedule?
I don't know. I just got 1,000 things on my mind.
At least you can get up when you wake up.
Yeah.
That's a skill.
Yeah. Now, you know what it is? It's just like that. I've said it plenty of times, but I just feel like I'm getting pulled in 1,000 different directions. Yeah. And I haven't really made decisions on a lot of different things. So it's like, just go, fuck it, bang, and then live with it later is probably the point I'm at now.
Yeah.
So that's another one.
Yeah.
I think, what's our plan long term for?
Well, we were just sort of chatting about it before, which is something that we've spoken about. But I think where you've got people and where you've got a solution that solves a problem, you have validation, I guess, to be able to create things off the back of that. And I think you and I, I'm very big on technology, and I know it's something that you're looking into as well at the moment too. So I would always gear towards, if I had an opportunity, it would always be like, how can you turn this into some sort of like on software experience? Yeah, is that an app? Yeah.
Everything's an app.
Yeah, everything's an app. But software, essentially, like something that is like, what people log into every day, see, feel, rely on, need to get their job done. Like, I think that's really what we would look at creating off the back of it.
I think from a community aspect, events.
Yeah.
Like we've done one speaking gig together.
Yeah, we have.
I've started doing some. Yeah, and like when we jumped off stage, people were coming up to us and asking. So I think that part comes natural to us, and we enjoy being on stage and talking, because it's different when you're in a podcast. It's a little bit more intimate.
Casual,
but like when you're talking,
the on stage one was cool.
It's cool.
I actually got a client a couple of weeks ago from that event.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
Even better.
Yeah.
So when you just I think it's a bit of a different experience because it's live. You can see people's reactions and you play it up a little bit because it's a style of performance. But I think even moving in towards like events, hopefully one day would be sick.
Yeah, that would be good. Are you working with any clients at the moment that you're not digging? Like, have you had that yet where you just love some, but then the other ones you're like, this is a bit of a drag? Or
yeah, I can see where the drag part comes in sometimes because you know what it is? It's like you reply and then it takes ages for them to reply and then they kind of want something like straight away.
Yeah.
But like I do enjoy consulting, but I kind of want to get to that point where I'm probably doing hire people.
Yeah.
Like probably bit more net worth or a bit more money in the business because I still think I can add value.
Well, do you know what as well? I've learned that's like also can be where your skill set can flourish a little bit better as well. Like I've worked with startups, like just get this business off the ground. And then I've also worked with people that have, made their first 500 grand, can't crack the 7-figure mark sort of thing. And I kind of work better in the latter.
In that space. Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, last question. Who's this course for?
this course is for anyone that has a business that isn't where they want it to be, essentially. Like there's room for growth, especially those that have just been on that one journey with the one business and want a sort of more well-rounded set of skill sets or experience and whatnot, or just really anyone that is wanting to self-develop. Maybe they've got, you know, a business idea, or they're sitting on a dream or something like that they haven't quite taken the plunge for. The best thing you can do to fill time before you take that plunge is just to learn. And it's a great place to learn.
For sure. And I found whenever, I think they call it like Wilson's law, where the more you learn, the more money that you actually start earning. And like within the course, there's a fuckload of content in there already, from brand partnerships, like how to start a podcast, how to build subscription models, all the marketing and branding stuff, how to build teams. So once you jump online, there's a fuckload in there.
Even I've had a couple of clients that have had heaps of success in a traditional media, like got on the Today Show, you know, in the newspaper, in online articles and things like that. And I've got this one organic PR segment in there that I actually show you how to get into online media and onto TV and stuff like that too. So that's cool.
And it's going to get constantly topped up. Like we just like we said, we both love business and learning, and the more we learn, the more you learn. That's kind of the whole goal.
Yeah.
All right. That's it for now, but we'll keep diving into it a little bit more. So thanks for jumping on, Jay.
Thank you.